Hey, this is Jim from Jim's Coleus Collection, just checking in on how everybody's doing. Um, how is everybody coping? What are you doing in your home? So you keeping busy? Shoot me some comments. Tell me what you're doing. If you're in home where you should be, social distancing and so forth, let me know. Shoot me a comment. Tell me what you're doing to keep busy. Because as you see here, I have plenty to do. So I'm going to shoot a real quick video on um, how how my coleus are doing, how the pinching, the trimming is going, and I'm going to do a video on one of my overwintered coleus plants that's really in need of a haircut. So we'll go through that. So, but we're going to go through here. If you've been following along, you can see that we got a lot of growth coming in. So as you can see, we got very effective. Now that I have this growth coming in here, which is really the point of pinching off these top ones, I'm going to cut these two off because I have this undergrowth coming in, and that's what I wanted to achieve. There's a few here that not so effective, but actually no, there we go. We got some growth coming in the bottom. So they're starting to get top heavy and they're starting to lean over. So I'm going to cut this way up top here. I'll show you that in a minute. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going over all my plants. And this is what I suggest you do. It depends on how many you have, honestly. I mean, it doesn't make a difference whether you have 500 or 50 or 5. But what I'm going to go through is all of my plants. I'm going to check a number of things. Again, this is moisture control soil. So it usually retains a lot of moisture. But there are some in here that may have gotten a little more sun, that are dry. There you go. And I could tell by the weight. Now this isn't, I'm going to give this a shot, but I'm not going to run it through. But it definitely needs some water compared to, say, a few over here that are pretty moist still. So you don't need to really overwater them. They're fine as long as the soil's moist. So another thing I'm going to do is go through the soil. And if you see any dead leaves, here we go, get rid of those. You don't want anything organic, any dead matter sitting in your soil, because it's going to rot and it's going to create problems. So you want to get rid of that. But continue what you're doing, monitor your water. If you have trays, grow light, or if you're near a bay window where you're getting outdoor light, make sure you rotate your plants around. Even if you have a grow light, move them around. Move them depending on what kind of rack you have and so forth and how many plants. Move your coleus around. If you only have a few between two trays, mix them up. Move some from one tray to another. Move the trays around. Circle. Just give them a different aspect of light. But so really what I'm going to do now is just go over now. Again, a week or so ago, I pruned them. And I'm going to go through each one. I have a lot of top-heavy coleus here. And I'm just going to go through the ones that obviously have the bottom growth coming in, which is what I was looking to achieve. So now I'm very comfortable in cutting off these top leaves here. We don't need them because we don't need our coleus to lean over like this. We don't, it just, especially now, I still have some time. I'm hoping that the forecast starts to moderate more. It should, obviously. We're in spring here in the United States. So once I get these out in the greenhouse and I can start hardening them, and again, I'll do that video. But I got some that are just stubborn. Here's a stubborn one. I did cut the tops. I'm trying to get some growth to go here, but nothing yet. So what I'm going to end up doing is, if this it's getting way too top heavy, I'll just cut the top and leave a stem. and that should jumpstart it. But look, you know, perfect example. There's some growth coming in. There's one that's a little stubborn. I'm going to get rid of some of these other ones. So it's an ongoing process. I'm going to keep up on the pruning. Keep up on your pruning. Look around, any dead leaves. Even if they're not leggy, you might have a few here. Like these leaves look kind of straggly. These two on the edge here, the axis. I'm going to cut those. So just maintain the health of your Coleus. Go over each one. If you see a leaf that's damaged, cut it. You know, I'm getting this boost in here. It's kind of hanging over. I might rearrange a few of these, get some that are crowded. But just go over each of your Coleus. See what you got going on. Keep them short. Again, you can see I got some of these, they look like little butterflies here. You know? So, we're going to keep that going. I got that growth coming in. I want to try to get some growth going in there. But it's not leaning over really, but I got a couple of, you know, leaves. So just keep going over. There we go. Perfect example. Look at all that growth coming in. So what I'm going to do is these two leaves I'm going to cut. Okay, so, and here's a perfect example. This is sort of a top-heavy Coleus. I'm going to cut these two. We'll call them north and south, just for the you know. We're going to cut these two leaves down. And this is just from facing the window. Facing the grow light or the window. So we just turn it around. So if your sun is, you know, to the left of it, to the right, say, whatever, just switch, you know, turn your Coleus around away from the source of light, and it'll come back. Just keep, it'll keep, you know, turning. So you want to rotate your Coleus. Again, some of them are going to be a little stubborn, so just let them go, keep going, and you will get so you'll get some growth coming in. There's some young growth coming in, so I'm not going to cut these yet. I'm going to let them go. Need some water. Here's some. So I'm going to go over each one of my pots today, and any Coleus that has a good amount of undergrowth coming in, I'm going to get rid of the top big leaves. So every one of them, there's a Coleus with lots of bottom growth coming in. I'm not going to cut all of the tops here. This has got a lot. It's a nice healthy Coleus, lots of growth coming in. Look at all of that, just dying to come out. And again, once, you know, we're just getting into spring, it's been, you know, moderate, but it hasn't been that ideal Coleus warm weather. Once the warm weather comes in and you get these outside or in my greenhouse and the humidity kicks in, these things are going to just explode where I don't have enough time to go through them all. But there, lots of growth. Those are coming in, so we're going to lose these. Let's try to get this out here so we can see it. But you see all those big leaves? We got two there. That one we're going to keep, but this other one, it's a little washed out. So I'm concerned maybe that's a little bit too much water. So I'm going to get rid of these two big leaves here because I got all that new growth coming in. There we go. I got all that new growth coming in. So let's get rid of those big leaves because all those big leaves, there's a lot of energy required to keep those going. Energy that could be diverted to these smaller growths. So get rid of those leaves. So go through all your Coleus. Again, check the soil. Check for insects. Hopefully you don't have any insects. If you do have some insects, I suggest insect soap spray. Like this. It's insect soap. It's very safe and it's effective for any kind of insects. But just go through your plants at this stage. Trim them, prune them as fit. Check your soil for any dead matter. All right, so here we go. We got a few here. Perfect example. You got all this. You have these big leaves here. You got all this new growth. See all this new growth coming in down here. So we don't need these leaves. We're going to cut these. And again, I've done this already, but it's continued. This one up here, I cut the other one already, just to give you an idea. That's why you need these little pointy scissors. So, I mean, yeah, it looks sorry. It's like, my God, but this is necessary. This is necessary. Here's one hanging over here. It's not doing too well. It's kind of crushed. I'm going to leave that one for now. Okay, what do we got here? There's another one right here. This one I trimmed. I got growth coming in up top, but I still want some growth getting down here, so I'm not going to disturb that one. This one I did already. Okay, so, excuse me. Here we go. We got these two monsters up here. You got all this new growth coming in. So, I don't need these. These two leaves here are taking a lot of energy out of the soil and so forth to maintain, to stay like this. So, we don't need it. We want to boost these little guys down here. So, just gently, careful, because you got new shoots coming in underneath. And if you do cut a new one, what are you going to do? I mean, it happens. But we're going to gently trim this large one. And I have plenty of time, so I'm not worried. I have plenty of time. And again, I'm going to go through each of my Coleus. It's still a little tender. Here's a perfect example. Look at all that new growth coming in. See that new growth? I don't need these up here. I got new growth coming in. Look at all that growth coming in. It's just screaming to grow. So I know this is a signifier. I know what kind of Coleus this is, but again, I have plenty of time. So I want to, at this stage, to boost this up a little. And it's still a little slow because these are inside. Once these get out into my greenhouse, they're going to really explode. So I'm not worried. At this point, again, I'm trying to boost the growth, the fullness of the Coleus. See how tall these are? I don't need these. These are just too tall. They're just tall. I don't need the tall Coleus. So because they're hanging over. Here, perfect example. Here we go. You're gonna cry when I do this, but you see all this growth coming in? See how it's leaning over? It's getting too. It's got ripped leaves. It's just, we don't need it. I'm actually gonna cut it right here because it's gonna grow in. Look at all that new growth coming in. So, and you can argue you don't even really need these down here, because it's leaning over. Same thing here. Perfect example. I got plenty coming in here. Lots, and look at all that growth coming in. This is a jitters. So I don't need all these big leaves here. And especially now if I was in my greenhouse, and I have a lot more space, I would still do this, I guess, because it's good for the plant. Perfect example. Got a lot of growth coming in here. I'm going to cut this right here, because I want to motivate even more growth down here. And it's a sacrifice, but it's necessary. So just go through each of your Coleus, look at them, got lots of growth coming in. See that growth coming in? These are such beautiful leaves. I hate to do it, but it has to get done. And it's good for the plants nearby, because I have these all in trays. So that's it. So continue to do that. Continue to go through each of your plants, and it depends on how many you have. I'm doing 500 plants here, so it's a lot of work. But it's necessary. And again, I'm looking for what I do. I don't, I do this. Yeah, I sell my plants at a farmer's market. I might not have a farmer's market this year. I don't know yet, but I'm not worrying about it. What I'm going to do now, I'm not going to make as many pots. Now normally I would start making some pots. I made up a bunch here, as you know, my last video. But at this stage right now, because it's so uncertain what the future is going to hold right now for this season, my season. So I'm not going to make any more of these pots right now until I have a better idea what I'm doing. And if it comes down to it this year, I'll give a lot of these to friends, co-workers. I plant a lot of my property, but I'll plant even more. And whatever I have left, say for absolute worst scenario, and I hate to make it negative, but we're all going through the same thing with the coronavirus. Worst case scenario, if my season is shot as far as my farmer's market, then at the end, whatever I have left over, I'll just keep growing to keep myself busy in my greenhouse. And at the end of the season, when they die, I'll pull them, and all the soil that I have left over here, I'll put into another container for next year. And there's always next year. So, but I have a feeling we'll be okay here in the United States. But I'm in New Jersey. I'm south of the metro New York area. So New York is and New Jersey are hot spots, but I'm not in Bergen County. I'm in Ocean County, which is a little less populated. But you know what? We'll just keep it positive, and we'll hope that this summer we'll be able to enjoy, at least at my farmer's market. But if not, I'm going to enjoy my beautiful Coleus as we have here. So let's just go through them all, take a look, all the different beautiful colors. Lots and lots. These are beautiful. I love these. So does Newton. And some people were asking for Newton for some camera time. Here's Newton in his little basket. He's doing his best. And my Beauregard, here's my other Yorkie, Beauregard. He's doing his best too. He's keeping busy. Right, Beau? That's right. So anyway, before we move on, I'm going to show you, I have my Saturn Coleus again that I'm gonna it's overwintered. It's a nice big full Coleus, but it needs to be pruned more. So we're gonna go and shoot over there. Meanwhile, I got some peppers in my greenhouse and some other young Coleus. Actually, they could really use to be put outside, out on my rack here, but I don't have much room. So, but anyway, let's head over to the Saturn. And let's go and prune that. Okay, so again, we're gonna go. We're gonna take a look through this. We're gonna cut, we're gonna trim up this Saturn Coleus. Again, we got lots and lots of growth here, a lot of new growth, and you can tell the difference between this nice, rich, contrasted new growth and this underlying growth. This is just the washed out plant left over from the winter, overwintering. It's just washed out, and it's time to give it a trim. I'm going to cut the very tops. Now I can make a whole bunch of rootings out of this, and normally under normal circumstances I would, but because I don't really know what this season's going to be like, I'm not going to make more rootings than I need, really, because I do have quite a few rootings, but I don't know what the season's gonna be like, if I'm gonna be able to either sell my plants, so I'm not really going to make rootings, because normally I would make rootings and then I would plant them in pots as once they root and create other pots with them. But I have plenty of these. So right now what I'm gonna do, again, you can see all that new growth. See the contrast? It's that bright green. This is a Saturn Coleus. And again, you can see all that bright new growth coming in. So we're gonna just go through the centers, check the soil for any underlying, any dead leaves or debris in the soil. I'm just gonna go through and let's try to get that onto here, and we'll go through. So we're gonna go in here, just cut the very tops, cut, because this is going to grow in. Just cut out randomly. I mean, I could spend hours on this, so I'm just going to go through on the bottom. You can't really see, but there's an old dead branch. Just go through your whole Coleus. Let's go down here. Let's take a look. A second. It's really hard with this here, but I'm going to really look on the in the soil. Make sure we have any. You know, here's some dead leaves that are in the soil. Just clear out your pot. Clear out the soil. Trim, again, just systematically go around, and just an example, all Coleus are similar. You're going to have, if you're overwintering, if you're trimming an overwintered Coleus, you're going to get some leaves that are not as bright as other leaves. You know, here's a Saturn leaf that's more, that's a newer leaf, so you can see the contrast. The color is a lot richer than this overwintered. So go through your plant, look, and also some of the leaves will feel. This one's like a little. Again, the color is off. It feels kind of dried out. So just go through your whole plant and trim anything that's suspect. And don't worry, you're not gonna. At this point, we're in the growing cycle now, fertilizing, and it's spring. We got lots and lots of warm, humid weather. This is gonna explode even more than it is. So I'm really gonna cut this down good. Here's a dead leaf. Just cut it down. Just trim it down. Cut some of the larger. You have some really large leaves. Just trim it down. Look at it as a sculpture. Just go around and try to even it out, make it look like a nice, full, compact Coleus. So trim your older, overwintered growth. Get the very tops, trim down the very, very tops. Again, although the very, very tops are new, I want to keep this short, so cut that very top section of 4 or 6 or 8 off the top, because it's going to grow back, and then you can see in, and that lets light in, air and light and moisture, you know, air and light. You have some leaves that are kind of twisted around. Cut those out. So, all right. So, and this goes for any Coleus. So just basically look at your overwintered Coleus. Cut those bland, sickly leaves out. Anything that looks dead or dying, unhealthy, cut it out, and try to again mold it, sculpt it so it looks nice and full and round and short. That fills it in really nice, and it's going to promote all that growth. Getting rid of this, it's the same as pinching off. It's just a different, you know, cutting, you know, trimming wintered Coleus down like this, pruning them this just promotes a healthy plant. So trim away, don't be shy. It's not going to kill your Coleus. You can't make mistakes here because it will come back. So, all right, so this applies to all Coleus. So keep trimming, don't be shy. So, okay, I hope everybody's staying well, safe, and soon the weather will start to get warm enough out here where the temperatures at night are sustained above 50. Then I'm going to move everything out into the greenhouse, and then I would say in another 2 weeks or so, then we'll start. I'm going to do a video on hardening your Coleus. By then, that's the process of getting your Coleus used to the outdoors. So stand by for that. I will be posting that, but that's, like, again, it's going to be about 2-3 weeks. So, all right, so I hope everyone stays safe, and thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus. Okay, so here we are. It's kind of windy out today, so blew a lot of the leaves away. You really can't see it, but here's really, you can see I really thinned it out. But you see, I'm getting all that undergrowth in, all the light. Still have some more under here I can trim, but I thinned it out really well. I trimmed some of the tops, not all, but I thinned it out really well because that's good. Airs it out, gives it a good chance to get undergrowth to grow in. It's just very healthy for the Coleus. You can still see I got a couple of dead ones in here that have to be cut, removed. And you know, when you got a plant this full, you can really go over it a few times. So, but it looks like half of what it was, and I'm not concerned because it's got lots of time. That's one that needs to cut. So you'll go over it, you know, 2 or 3 times. You're going to find some leaves that you missed the last time, so don't worry about it. But you can see I gave it a good trim, and it's healthy. And this applies to all your Coleus plants. When later on in the summer, when your plants get larger, you do the same thing. But you see all that. You can see the difference. You see, you could just tell which is the new growth and which is the overwintered stuff. Okay, so again, thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus.